All right. What a lovely day today. I'll be real honest. I don't even have too many opening thoughts. I really want to jump into these technicals because there's so much amazing things to talk about, all right? I think the two things I really want to do on this opening thought is flash my opening thoughts of the day. I'm gonna show that in a second, and then we gotta look at the Nasdaq. Look, I was on a whole mess of meetings the last couple hours, so when I got ready to start recording, I was a little surprised to see where the Nasdaq closed. I think it's still, not that bad, and obviously the sector still held a lot of it, so that's good at least here, right? But always got to respect the Nasdaq, right? So let me start here. So this is the thing I wanted to really emphasize, and you can see it was literally the third thing I said today. Okay, two big things from today that I really really hope you just hold on to and never forget. Doesn't matter what your strategy is. Doesn't matter if you like technicals more than fundamentals, right? Like I sincerely believe in these two things. Number one, confirmation matters up and down. All right. I always emphasize confirming up because, hey, knock on wood, we're looking at things that are ready to confirm up and go, 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 right? But it also matters if things are going to fail and go down. And yesterday was a really ugly day. And I said I'm going to talk about the NASDAQ, right? So, like, I'll just flash it real quickly. Yesterday was a scary day. All right. And today looked really good. I talked about where and how it closed end of the day. We'll get into those details shortly, right? But there was some bond news that, again, I'm not smart enough to pretend I know about the bond stuff. The cool thing is on the Discord, man, Coleman called it before it really even got very heavy. So there were some really educated thoughts about the bond market and the worries there. But yeah, we lose the triple A rating. It hits the bond market and something jumps to 5%. I really don't understand what much of that means. And it brought some panic, right? But you need more than one candle. Obviously, I don't like when things are under the 8 moving average, right? That's never a good thing. I want to be over it, right? But I need more than one. This doji wasn't as good as I was hoping, but again, I'll get to these thoughts later, okay? The second thing, and it really goes back to the NASDAQ, it's so much easier when all the indices are over all the moving averages, right? And you can see from the 12th onward, we've been over all five. Obviously, we had a little hiccup the last 2 days, right? On the S&P 500, that's the exact same thing. Dow Jones wasn't as pretty. It wasn't. But to me, I'm a heavy tech trader. I really like tech more. I'm not saying ignore the Dow Jones. You really got to look at least the big three indices, but I definitely care more about the Nasdaq and the S&P 500, especially if we're looking at quantum stocks. There's no Dow Jones in this thing, right? Like this is a heavy technology sector right here, right? All of the tickers that we're about to look at here, right? So when Nasdaq's over all the moving averages, when S&P 500 is also over all the moving averages, oh, it's so much easier. And you could see that's been reflected on my videos since the 12th, right? So that's the opening thought part one. I at least wanted to talk about those two things. And hey, let's look at the NASDAQ real quick. All right. It had to have happened. Yeah, look at that. It happened in the last hour. And yesterday, right? I just said yesterday was an ugly one. Yesterday was a 3 hour move. This one was just a 1 hour move, right? So it looked like a beautiful day. We definitely started down here. And yeah, before my last couple meetings, I was probably pushing that 1900 number. And like I said, I was a little surprised to see it. How oh, it was actually in the last 30 minutes even. Interesting. I didn't see any news. I really didn't. But overall, look, I think what I've been focusing on with the NASDAQ has been the weekly. All right. And this weekly 44 RSI, to me, that's been making me think there's still some good tech weeks. I was hoping we were going to see a better weekly candle here. And you got to remember, Monday's a holiday. All right. So short weeks are never great. I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. I like it when it's a Monday off instead of a Friday. I don't know why, but I think to me, it just feels like a lot of trading from Tuesday to Friday than the Monday to Thursday. I don't know why, but like I'm okay with it. But hey, we have to at least hold 50% candle, right? We need to be over 18,950. We're 25 bucks under that, right? And we need a decent day tomorrow to at least keep this a friendly doji. Even if it goes just a little bit down, it'll probably still be a doji. Even if it goes up that little bit, it'll still be a doji, right? But I'd love it to lean a little more better than good. And really, this daily RSI isn't bad because a healthy index will go 80s, 60s, 80s, 60s, right? And it did that during this uptrend, right? We were high, we were low. I guess that yeah, there's some points. This is a good one. You go really high, you come to this basic, look, this is even 70s, right? 60s is actually even down here, right? So up, down, up, down, up, down. You just stay up here, right? And it kind of looks like it's trying to do that again. But again, just like I said, confirmation down, we need to confirm up. As long as NASDAQ does well, all of these will do well, all right? So you gotta watch NASDAQ, you gotta watch QQQ, but hey, it's fantastic in this sector right here, all right? So before we do go any further and I give you more of my thoughts and opinions, what are we going to do? Same thing we always do, right? We'll take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how these things are setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages. There are horizontal support and resistance lines that I do draw manually myself. And then when we are done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, if you can, please subscribe to this channel. Share this video online with your friends. Comment good or bad if you disagree. Look, anything you can do helps so much with these YouTube algorithms. But for real, just being here, giving me your time, oh, I'm so grateful for it, all right? So, oh my gosh, so much good happening in this sector, all right? There were 2 comments, and I just want to highlight both of these, all right? So on the last quant video, someone called these a meme stock, all right? I'm not a fan of calling anything a meme stock. That actually includes like GameStop and AMC and those like OG memes, right? To me, everything is a random 4, 3, 5 letters ticker, right? And I'm here looking for technical setups. When all the sector of random 3, 4, 5 letters, and again, that's what we're going to be doing here, right? We've got a 4-letter, we've got a 3-letter with QSI. Look at this thing, right? We've even got 5 letters, QMCO, no, QMM. Oh, I know there's a 5. Look, there are so many quant tickers. It's actually even hard to keep up with them, right? But we're going to look at a bunch of 3 and 4-letter ones on this one. And when the whole sector is pushing and doing well, oh, it's such an amazing thing, right? And you can just see the commonalities. They're all over all the moving averages. They're all really healthy with the MACD and well, at least the MACD. Some of them have a little bit higher RSI, right? And again, I'll go through all the thoughts between them. Dang, sorry, I'm gonna put my notifications down. I don't know what's going on. My apologies. One sec. I apologize. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, good. Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. So, that to me makes me not like, it's not about meme when the sector is doing well. And again, I said in the opening thoughts, when the index is doing well, right? All I care about is the NASDAQ when we're looking at tech heavy stocks. Hey, it hasn't been pretty, but we've been over all the moving averages after what, 2 months, almost 3 months of being under them, or at least under most of them, right? So taking advantage of this eye of the storm, I've been kind of using that phrase for a bit, taking advantage of the sector strength, none of that, and taking advantage of the technicals on each of these individually, right? So to me, none of that means meme, right? The other thing was real quick. Someone before I started recording gave me a shout out and saying, hey, I'm doing well. And they said, no. I'm not here to call myself out. The goal is we're all doing well, right? None of this is financial advice. You know that. But hey, hopefully when I'm right, we're all doing well. When I'm wrong, you disagree really loudly. And this is a 2-way street of knowledge, right? So let's get into it. And really, again, I think the most important thing is what the NASDAQ does, all right? I see this actually going up a little bit after hours, all right? I actually really don't care, right? To me, what is heavy, I'll look at QQQ this time. What matters is where are we going to go with this 8 moving average? right? I definitely see a golden cross down here, right? When a little one goes over big moving averages, that's called a golden cross. So, 20 went over the 200, 20 went over the 100, golden cross, right? There's good in that. Yeah, that's for sure a good phrase and stuff, but the problem is if we lose the 8, we're going to fall from this 515 all the way down here to basically 500, right? Quick math, I think that's a 3% drop, right? I think $5 would be 1%, right? Yeah, so 3% is actually a lot on a index, and this is an ETF of that, right? So I don't want to lose the 8 to the 20, and I think I'm more focused on that than the good of this, golden cross, because to make this good golden cross better, get me back over the 8 moving average, right? And if QQQ can get back over 520, if QQQ can get back over 520, I'm going to say it one more time just in case anyone's in the back right now and they're running to this. If QQQ gets over that 520 line, all that's going to happen is this is going to keep going into all-time highs, right? If that happens, I think it's IONQ. All that's going to happen is IONQ is going to keep going up and testing all-time highs, right? Real quick, I see this one dropping after hours, right? Again, I actually don't care. And on the Discord, the last thing we said about IONQ, dun, 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 dun. No, it was probably after this one. Dun, 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 dun. As long as it's over 45, I think IONQ is going to be good to go. If I'm not mistaken, that's the 45 that we're sitting at after hours, right? So number one, I really don't care about after hours. Number two, hey, that's still a decent line that I don't mind, right? So IONQ again, though, obviously I see all-time highs is like way up here at 54. This is the line that actually matters to me. There's nothing over here. And these are based off of the better, stronger candle. So yeah, you break this and you're going to go all-time high. That's the same thing we did with QBTS, right? You can see I drew my golden line down here. Clearly, all-time highs was up here, right? If you were waiting for this to hit, oh, it's going to gap up and you're going to miss it, right? So we do things intentionally, right? So IONQ, that's a big line for me right there, right? Regati, RGTI, look at this candle today, right? We went from that gap down on scary earnings to NASDAQ not giving up to the sector strength making you forget and all of a sudden carrying everything up and over, right? So man, just look at this thing, right? If you just even waited for 12, you could have caught a lot of this right here, right? And really at this point, if we break this and continue, and again, that'll be dictated by that QQQ number, the basically same NASDAQ number, 1820 would be next on Regati right here, right? QSI, what a lovely day. And what I like about QSI is those other ones we were just looking at were already over all the moving averages. We're already breaking resistance lines and going, right? This one's still under all 5. This one still has arguably the lowest of the RSIs, and it also has a MACD, and it has the green over red, and volume's actually been really good consistently the last 3 days, right? So there's a lot to like here. And again, what I've always said is, hey, if you miss QBTS, don't feel bad. If you missed IONQ, don't feel bad. Look at this thing just break our lines, right? If you missed, whatever, look in the sector, find the one that's trying to mimic it. This one hasn't broken them all yet. And if it can, oh man, there's a lot of green, red, green, red. Really, let's just draw this next line, right? Where is you? Let me draw top of you right there. Oh, I love that. That's probably a little high, though, I think. Look, realistically, there's no such thing as safe in a crazy market. And again, we need NASDAQ to do well. You break 2 on QSI, you might run to 315, right? And that's a significant percentage right there. Let me see if we can lower it to that. I like this line. Let's actually raise it to just a little higher. You break 192, and oh, didn't we talk about this in the Discord? Did I not use that line? No, hold on, I didn't. QSI. Dun dun dun. Give me a second. I know we talked about it. Break 190-ish. All right, I said 195. That's what it was. That's why I couldn't find it. You break that 192, 195, right? Whatever number I'm saying. I see why he said 240, right? Like I'm basically clicking right there and it's a 235. You could actually arguably raise it right there and it's a 245. That 240 is like perfectly right in between it, right? So I completely see why this is a good educated like line and resistance that he called out. To me, that's a lot of green, 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 red, 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 green, 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 red, 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 nothing, 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 nothing for the entirety of the year, basically, right? So I can see this flying up there again. You can wait for two. 192 is what I like to draw that. So look, we looked at QBTS, QUBT. This is another one. Look, I think this, like I said, those other ones have already taken off, confirmed, and gone. This one's at least a little ahead of QSI, right? Because it is now over all five and it's been a couple days. But good candle, no confirmation. Good candle, if this confirms, we're going to go from 12 to 14. You break 14. I redrew this line right here. Again, I know I can even draw another one right here. I actually almost legit believe, I'm zooming out as I say it. Should I draw that line right there? I don't think so. I think you break this and it's good to go because, like, I think you break 17.5, it'll all-time high again. I actually do think that. Again, a lot of it's driven with just this NASDAQ. To me, I'm just going to flash it real quick, right? If the NASDAQ weekly is at this 45 and we go with a good candle over all the moving averages after being under so long, right? And we get the good side of the doji, you know, that's not a bad thing. Hey, worst case, it fails. We get a little slap on the wrist and we'll adjust, right? But QUBT, this thing is dancing at an important spot right here, right? Yeah, look, I've often said, I don't know why I don't have a line drawn here. I probably should, and I apologize, but gap fill lines, and there's a gap from here to here, right? There's a gap down, and you can see like we've just been testing this thing since that thing gapped down, right? Those gap fill borders, those gap fill resistance lines, they're a little bit harder to break than you would expect. But I think again it very much emphasizes it, right? Between here, and that's a big percentage from 11 to 14, there's actually so much nothing, nothing, nothing. And you can even just keep zooming out. The last time there wasn't anything in that was in 2001, right? So this is a lovely channel. It really, really is right there, right? So still, again, a healthy RSI, a good positive MACD. Volume's been nice for about 2.5 weeks, right? Because again, I'm zooming in to get away from that. There was this good long struggle with that white line, but since this last, like I said, basically 2 weeks, maybe not 2.5 weeks, but the entirety of the last week and that little combo right there, that's a nice little volume right there, right? So, and again, goes back to just the NASDAQ doing well, getting over all the moving averages on the 12th, sector strength, all that sort of stuff, right? So we've looked at IONQ, QBTS, Bugatti, QSI, QMCO, is that another one? QMCO, yeah, that is another one. And then ARQQ will be the other one. All right, hey, look, this one is behind the most, right? Where QSI has gotten at least over that cluster down here, and you can see when it did, it took pretty good advantage of getting all the way up. QMCO is just a little bit behind it. It's trying to, can't. Trying to, will it? I don't know, maybe, right? But volume's getting better. MACD, RSI. MACD is now in the positive, right? So if this can get over, let's call it 1465, I'll set that alert. Why not? It's 1466. An alert's not an immediate buy notification. It's a come check it out. There's a lovely channel all the way up to 19 right there, right? So QMCO is, again, like I said, if you've missed those first ones, don't get upset at yourself. Don't call yourself a bad trader and get frustrated. Yo, I used to do that to myself all the time, man. I regret the years I lost doing that, right? So you find others in the sector that are trying to mimic the leaders, right? So QMCO is definitely in that bucket, and then ARQQ, this is just lovely, right? So this is this reminds me of which one? QMCO? Nope, of QUBT, right? Finally got overall 5, but can't confirm, especially on that line that I obviously drew in hindsight, but hopefully you saw it and you get why. ARQQ finally over, really good candle over, just 3 dojis in a row on our line, right? So you get over that on ARQQ, 25 to 37 is a big percentage, right? So lovely to see things right here. I really don't like doing videos over and over of the same things, but how can you not just focus on this sector when it's this strong, right? So NASDAQ needs to keep doing well for this to keep doing well, all right? Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions. Even if you disagree, oh, I appreciate you so much.